Alright, welcome back to another stream. Just gonna start right away, because I'm here a little bit late. So this is a modded character called the Escort. Like most modded characters, they don't really have much of a unique campaign yet, which I think would involve carrying a slug pup around, which sounds interesting. And we start in the gutter. I don't know how much of a fan I am of this. But this character is very like combat oriented. They have a lot of unique abilities. You can already see there the roll counts I did there. Looked a bit different, and we'll look into that more in a different area. I don't know how I feel about this starting location. They start like right in the middle of gutter, which isn't the best place to showcase their abilities. They can hold 2 spears at once though. It's kind of nice. Maybe just like at the start of Chimney Canopy instead of the gutter. I mean, I know those are the same locations, but it's a little bit annoying to come out of here. They have a very high food requirements, so actual reason to go out and fight things. I kind of like that. One of the last modded characters I played, the poacher, I believe, they had like a very low food requirements, and they couldn't even that also gives a quarter. That makes sense. They couldn't even eat meat, so you would eat like 2 blue fruit every cycle, and that's like all you had to do. And it felt like there was no reason to go and use their combat abilities, since you didn't actually need food. This is a route very similar to what I take in the Rivulet speedrun. That's a lizard. Okay. I couldn't get into that pipe. Now I'll have to go back through the gutter again. I don't think I'd like the idea. I don't like the idea of going to drainage system at the moment, so might take a few cycles to get enough food and to just get out of here in the first place. Did that really do? Okay, no, that did not do enough damage. Hello, welcome to the stream. Maybe there's some reason for the starting location once the campaign is actually finished. Oh, I don't have an extra spear. That was it. Oh, hold up. Here's another movement tech. See if I can pull this off. There we go. They have like a bit of an extended wall jump. I don't really know how to do it consistently though. There we go. Excuse me. Excuse me. This spider. This is like with the class system, yeah. So I have the default class, so I haven't picked any of the other options. But they have a lot of customization, which I'm sometimes not really a fan of. Like I went into their remix settings and there's like 20 different things to change. So here's the better look at their wall jumps. I really don't like this. Okay, they both fell down. Spider thought that they were leech. Yep. Why is there so much stuff here? So maybe I'll look into some of the other classes later in the stream, but I'd like to look at the default version. Yeah, I don't really like the customization because it gives me options to choose, like, options over things that I don't even have any experience with. I don't know if any like options would be better or not, because I haven't actually even played the character yet. It's lagging a whole lot right now. All right, I don't know what's up with that. Oh, scavengers. I think I have neutral scavenger reputation. Okay, I wanted to. For some reason I think I'm like Gourmand. Then I'm able to. Okay. I'm really struggling with this for some reason. Let's take the other route through the gutter to end up on the other side of Chimney Canopy. That might be easier for me. Easier to get food and stay in a shelter. Except to take this path instead. I don't usually take this route. It's faster for Revealer to take the other path, but we're not playing Revealer right now. Hubert's like, are they the one with like completely broken movement? As in like it's actually like hard to play the game normally? I don't know if I want to check this out. Although I do know that this character has a class that makes them move faster, so maybe we'll look at that and it might be a little too extreme. I totally missed that spear. I don't think the lizard just noticed me yet. Okay, you know what? I guess we'll just keep going. Don't really feel like I've been able to actually try out my abilities in this region. I mean, sometimes that wall jump has come in handy. Okay, the problem with that is that even Rivulet is too fast, I think. And I know that I'm a Rivulet speedrunner, but I think that they're a bit excessive. Sometimes you just don't have the space, like doing rolls or like slide pounces and stuff. It just sends you too far. How do I do this? Except use the spear. Oh, I could have used the wall jump again. That's just the shelter. I don't even have enough food. Aren't you going to have to carry a slug pup? Yes, I believe so. That's part of the campaign. But of course, it hasn't been implemented yet, as for most campaigns. They instead take place in Spearmaster's campaign, which is kind of annoying since I don't think it's possible to actually do their story. Because of course they don't have a pearl in their stomach, probably. So I won't even be able to go through the Spearmaster's campaign. Oh, that's not a hole I can go into. I think a good thing for mods, it'd be nice if mods like actually let you complete the campaign that they take place in. Kind of like Drone Master. There's this dude. He was actually active for once. So the Drone Master, right, they took place in Artificer's campaign, and if you went to Pebbles as the Drone Master, he would tell you to go up and fight some scavengers. It took place right after Artificer, and I don't know if that's going to be the final version of that campaign for the Drone Master, but it actually at least gave you some sort of goal, something to try to do. Like garbage worm. For this campaign, I don't know if I have a goal, or if it's just kind of to run around. And I know that there will be eventually some sort of goal. How do I do this jump? I guess I'll just go the other way. Like eventually all these mods are going to have their own campaigns if the mod developers want to do that. There's a red spider over here. Not just a regular spider, but this is a dead lizard. But at least just like copying some other campaign kind of give you something to do before the rest of the mod comes out. So I'd like to eat all of this. Another thing about this character is that they are very strong. You can pick up and throw around creatures very easily. The sleep lizard. Like, it's super easy to just carry them around. So, and I think it also works on creatures even if they're not dead. We finally got enough food, and there should be a shelter. Excuse me? That's an elite scavenger. Couldn't recognize what creature that was. So it makes sense for there to be an elite scavenger here. I don't want to go in there. Hope they fix Pebble's dialogue in Drone Master. Yeah, that's gonna be a thing with mods. They're just not always going to perfectly fit with the base game. I mean, even I feel like Downpour does that a little bit. Okay, so this character can also just roll as far as they want. Oh yeah, so let's look at this for a second. When you throw spears, kind of like Gourmand. Except you don't get tired afterwards. So it's actually useful for movement, except you can't do extended slides. I think there's an option to change that though. Still works with rocks, of course. I have yet to... Oh, here's a lizard. Alright, let's see if I can do something against... Or how about this, this pink lizard? Oh, okay. I guess that's what they can do. Just send the lizards into the back rooms. Funny slug mod time? I suppose it is. That spears are actually look kind of weak. Wow, that really sent them. Whoa, that launches you. You slide into them. I think they're dead now. Kind of like Gourmand, where once they're dead, it stops making the sound effect for hitting them. Wait, I really sent them flying around a bit there. I'm actually not going to use this explosive spear. So I have more opportunities to use their unique abilities. Wow. I don't even know how much damage that does yet. It's still loud. Maybe that's just hitting their mask. Can I pick up the vulture? Hey, come back here. Oh, I love when vultures do that. That's what happens when you don't do your slides correctly. How well does it control? I mean, it's pretty similar to like contour movement. But it's like, I mean, it's a bit awkward to get used to the, okay, like their roll pounces, their like all your pounce moves don't go as far. And it's because you're doing a drop kick instead of a regular pounce. Like look at that, you don't get as much height. So maybe it's a bit weird to kind of get used to that, but it's also useful for combat since you stay low to the ground, so you don't just jump over things that you're trying to hit. Oh wow, that sends you flying. It doesn't even seem to be doing any damage against them. Is that just a movement attack and it doesn't even do damage? Like this is for combat. It feels a bit awkward to actually get into a position where you can do your attacks. I'm just sliding a lot here. It doesn't look like it's doing damage. The spider's probably still alive. It does stun them. So you need to do an actual jump to deal damage. Although, timing's a bit weird. Or maybe I'm just bad at it. Like you need a lot of space to actually do these attacks. Can I hit this whole plant? No. Well, of course that lizard goes through at the same time. So it looks like just the slide alone does not deal any damage, but it does have a pretty long stun. And then it always has so much more force than I expect. Actually doing a pounce after the slide is what deals damage and knockback. But kind of hard to quickly attack something. Okay, why are there so many lizards here? Like you really need to like some space to build up your speed. Of course, there's a ton of creatures here for no reason. And I feel like they should be like Gourmand, where you can land on creatures. Try to hit this dropwing. I felt like it should have worked. That was a very interesting sound. I don't know if I've heard that before. For taming that cyan. Oh, that's a unique sound effect too. I kind of like the infinite roll. It makes it easier to actually line up a attack. You can just do it whenever. Oh, hold up. Does throwing them deal damage? Maybe I should just use my spear more often. Oh wow, it seems like just throwing them deals damage. No, it's dead. Shelter again. So now that I'm out of the gutter, getting a lot better. I'm not exactly sure what my goal should be. Oh, that's a king vulture, not messing with that. I know that one of the builds is like a deflector. You can deflect spears, and maybe that includes king vulture harpoons. Let's see if I can just throw this. Okay, that's, I guess since they don't really count as a creature. Okay. It's impossible. I tried to kill them without a spear. So maybe it's just because they're really small, or if they don't really count as a creature, but that felt... it's a bit annoying in a really enclosed space. Yeah, fist fight with a pickle. Guess not. Okay, that was a mistake, but it still worked out. does not stun for very long. Maybe that's because I'm hitting their heads. Also, I am not... Don't have 5 max karma for some reason. You start one below that. Maybe I should go see the Echo. I like this. You see one of the spears that I'm holding? It looks like Spearmaster's spears after they've decayed. So I guess they're kind of leaning into them. I mean, for the most part, mods tend to... Like, even before they have their own campaign, they're, like, placed in a campaign that's closest to where they will be. Oh, okay, I should have done something there. So if this mod eventually does take place in Spearmaster's time, it makes sense for there to be these spears lying around. Unless this is actually something that's in base game. Like it maybe in Artificer's time. It just took my spear. And my other spear. But I don't know if I've ever seen spears like that in Artificer's campaign. Cool detail though. Just put like 10 of them in a shelter somewhere. Okay, it would have been cool. So you can actually see like a small like effect above your head once you have that jump charged up. You can actually climb walls. You can also die to white lizards if you want. Oh, nice shot. I'm trying to avoid using just spears and like fighting how I normally do to really try out these new abilities. I miss that spear every time. I do know that one of their classes is more focused on like spear combat too. That was a really weird roll. They also climb poles a lot faster. It's very noticeable on horizontal poles. Fast pole climbing is faster too. There's a lizard somewhere here. There they are. Okay, I wanted to see if I could throw upwards, but I just threw it into the wall. There we go. This whole character feels very similar to Gourmand in the way that this is like very movement-based combat. Except that half the time it actually doesn't work out and it's better to just use spears normally. There we go. That actually did work out. Maybe the, there's something I should test out next time I fight a lizard. It felt like the spear that I threw stunned them a lot longer than I expected it to. Like, I can just throw a rock and a spear, like, whenever I want. And that works just as well. They're still alive. See if I die here again. This is the one room where I got stuck in as Artificer for a long time. I was trying to go for their Ascension ending. Nice spear through. And there's a Karma Flower at the bottom of this room. Which I guess Karma Flowers don't show up. This character. Of course they block the pipe. The problem is that there's a red lizard that shows up in Artificer's time and they like to hang out in that room. And since they can't get out of the room and they don't want to leave through the bottom, they end up just camping the Karma Flower. But you have to get Karma Flowers in order to activate Echoes as Artificer. That was a lot of fun. Got a King Vulture. Oh wow, that's range. No, let's get past the... For some reason their model's broke. Oh, everything's breaking. That's fun. Really all I have to do is this to fix that. Just kind of have to hold up against the wall. To activate that. Although I haven't really found a good place to use it. There's a Karma Flower. Did Scavengers take it last time? Maybe I just have to get used to it. For now, it seems like every time I try to do some sort of interesting movement, it doesn't work out. That white lizard just eat like every single one of those noodle flies. Also, it's quite tricky to actually grab the lizards when they're still alive. Mostly because I'm killing them with spears, or I'm hitting them with spears, so I end up picking up the spear instead of them, or some other random object that's nearby. I probably could have done something here with the wall jump to get up faster. So their path still does go quite far horizontally, just doesn't give you that much height. Fortunately, that didn't actually go down the cliff. Going to farm. Going to have to farm a lot of karma here. This echo. If I can bait this sand over into this room, be easier to fight. Just kidding. Vulture. What are you doing? Why do they do that? Maybe I'll try to fight the King Vulture. Or maybe like every single creature here is just gonna leave. That's fun. There might be a lizard over in this room. Or another King Vulture. That's wonderful. Okay, I'll just stay in this shelter. Can I do this? Not if I messed up. Okay, we'll never know. There's another King Vulture. Another one, how about it? I guess the deflector thing would actually be quite useful, because you could just roll like that forever. And be pretty much completely immune to use King Vultures, hopefully. If it only works against scavengers, that would be unfortunate. I'd rather not fight scavengers. They seem to already have good reputation. It's actually harder to make these jumps. Or I guess actually, yeah, we could just do that. We have some extra spears lying around. Let's actually try to fight a vulture. I'll head over here. This is where I usually like to fight vultures if I ever do. Be nice if there's maybe some way to do a regular pounce. And it's like one of the more important parts of the character to doing the way they do those like drop kicks. Oh, hold up. Great music. But sometimes it's helpful to have a pounce for movement. Hey, I'm right here. What are they looking at? It's kind of like this attack that you can do where you pick up a creature and throw and jump at the same time. You can get a big boost out of that. Like that it's just kind of part of this character's movement where when you slide into a creature, you get sent flying. Oh, I actually don't know if I'll have to. Actually, yeah, you can just do that. So far, I don't know if I've really had a good reason to not just use spears for combat. Got a King Vulture. I don't know if I want to bother with that. It's not very strong spear throw. I don't know if their spears do less damage or if they just don't fly as far, because I know that those are separate stats. Feels like whenever I try to use spears for combat, they'll work pretty well. So this character is not yet finished, like most mods now. I think their campaign will eventually involve them bringing a slug cat around. Wow, they really deflected that spear. So it's something to do with the slug pup. Of course, we have yet to see what that will actually end up being like, or where you have to bring the slug pup. I guess I might as well eat these. You're still alive. Shit roll is always cool. It's nice considering that a roll pounce does damage, so. Still not sure about that, the throwing attack. It seems to actually do damage. I'll have to mess around more with that, but it's hard to throw a creature without also first impaling with it with spear. So that means that I'll most likely pick up the spear instead of them. Although maybe I'll try to do other methods of stun. Although like doing a drop kick does not stun them for very long. Maybe the slide on its own will be good at that. Maybe I should leave Chimney Canopy. That might not be the best place to test out some of these moves. Very vertical. This character seems most like that's like horizontal. Very, very horizontal. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that worked out. But then like I don't have food and I don't have the spear anymore. So I probably shouldn't do that if I need to get food. Maybe rocks. Maybe I'll use rocks instead of spears. I'll try this out for a bit. That doesn't seem to do damage. Are they gonna follow me? I guess not. Hello, King Vulture. Don't mind me. Oh, that really just sends you. I could not move in any other direction. I don't know what causes that. Well, there goes the karma flower. And just my karma. They were ready. They were already in the pipe, so. Maybe the karma flower is still there. I guess I'm not entirely sure how they work. I should try that. Like throw, or maybe that's what causes that. The throw boost with the spear kind of sends you in one direction and you can't change it. I would have liked that egg bug, honestly. That's interesting. There's like not really, there wasn't any sound there. It's not stun as long as I would like it to. Sometimes I honestly don't even know what causes that knockback. The karma flower is in fact gone. Just unfortunate because I would have been I would have had enough karma to activate the echo. At least like hopefully I can activate the echo. Or the lizard. Just kind of getting stuck on lizards. I wanted to pick that up. Flag again. Alright. Hello. Welcome to the stream. I guess that just kind of happens sometimes. It's just a big flag spike. I don't know if that has to do with the mod or... It probably does. I don't know if there were scavengers here this cycle. Okay, it's just another cycle of this. But I want to stay in the shelter that's close to the top of the region, but I don't think that I might die to a... I would like to eat that lizard. Don't mind. That was a big jump. So yeah, luckily I do have good reputation. Oops, sorry about that. I don't have a weapon. I mean, you would think that like even if you don't have a weapon, this character would still be effective, but that has not been the case. Okay, I'll just let the scavenger. It is quite a long stun though. Okay, thank you. Fun to see these scavengers jumping around like that. Will I run into a vulture? The answer is of course. I'm very surprised I didn't die to that. Yeah, I just don't really feel like I can do anything about that. We'll just wait for him to leave. Maybe it's been long enough. Try to stay in the pipes for longer. I don't know if that helps with whether vultures will detect you. Oh, yeah, just fall there. Yeah, I don't think they're not going to come back. That sends you... That goes very fast, but it does not give you much height. Which I was more consistent with like base slug cat movement. Just doing slides is kind of a tricky timing, so I'm not that consistent at it. Okay, hopefully the echo is active. If it isn't, then I might need to get a karma flower first. And then it will just be a repeat of the trying to ascend as artificer. And there's already a king vulture. Two of them actually. Of course I missed that. I think it was two of them. Yeah, here they are. So no echo. I'm going to try the karma flower. If I can actually... That actually worked out. The problem is these are very dangerous areas. So next question is if I can actually keep the karma flower, if it even is here in the first place. Man, I saved myself with the wall jump, and it would have been cool if that actually helped out. The like extra momentum that you get from spears can be more annoying than it is helpful. Because that kind of spear throw already sends you more like horizontally than vertically. And it doesn't help the lack of height that you get from the different pounds. Maybe I should have just gone to the wall, because there's a guaranteed echo there and I wouldn't have to bother with the karma flower. It's probably a good idea. I think there's a white lizard somewhere here. Yeah, they're right there. But I would like them to... Okay, now there's the vulture. I think they're actually facing downwards. Somehow the lizard does not care at all. Now they definitely care. That did not work. Somehow that did, though. Sometimes you do way more knockback than it looks like you should. I guess that's just the fun part of this character. I still need food though. I think I'd rather just go to the wall instead, although pretty hard to, or pretty easy to die there too. Some of these jumps might be pretty difficult, but actually I still did them last time I was here. Spear helps. I would like if a vulture showed up. And not a king vulture. Although I could probably also take that out in this tunnel. Cheese them. I remember one time I tried to fight a vulture in this area as some different slug gap, and it took forever for them to show up, and actually they never did. So I was just waiting around. So I don't know about this. I guess there's the vulture grubs a few rooms down. I could try to grab one of those. Of course, it's a king vulture. This will be a little bit tricky since throwing a spear sends you forward, but it also doesn't go very far. Yeah, that's why. I actually have roughly the same range as that vulture, so getting into range to throw the spear also puts me in danger. Welcome to the fun part of Rain World, where we're farming karma as a character that requires a lot of food. Maybe I just have the expectation that every slug or modded slug is going to be overpowered, and looking at all this slug's ability of like being able to throw creatures around and do drop kicks and slide into enemies and just do stuff like that. You think that they kind of adds up to be a powerful character, but maybe I'm just bad. You're still interested in me? There's a vulture right there. Ah, no. Don't mind the vulture. I actually, or the lizard. The lizard immediately got out of there. So Rainworld's combat is very interesting because it ends up actually being very simple. It's either simple or very unfair. Because in most scenarios, when you're actually fighting something, it's against like a single lizard in some kind of flat area, and you have a rock and a spear. You throw the rock and then you throw the spear, and then you approach them, pick up the spear and throw it again. Maybe you do that a few times, and that's all you need to do for like 50% of your combat encounters. And for a lot of creatures that aren't killed as easily, yeah, that just don't never do that. And maybe the strategy involves just throwing a bunch of spears like centipedes or vultures, stockpile some spears, and then spam throw them once you're in a good spot. Or maybe some creatures are just way too dangerous to ever approach in combat, like Mirrorspirds or like red lizards. Like, don't even really bother with it half the time. Unless you have like an explosive spear or an electric spear, you know, something like that would help you out. But it's always usually just a trade-off of like, do you want to fight this creature because you're in a very advantageous position, or avoid this creature entirely? Those are your options most of the time. And I think it's because the game's combat is very clunky, kind of. You know, it's not really meant for combat. The situation... Okay, I don't even know why that happened. But I want to think about some of the other, like, flowcats in the game. First of all, there's Hunter, who only makes one very small change, but that actually ends up being very significant, being able to hold the extra spear. And it means in those scenarios where you do want to fight creatures, flat area, and a simple creature like a lizard, you can throw a rock and throw a spear, except you could actually throw a second spear after that. That makes it much easier to fight like green lizards. Or if you miss the first spear, then you have a backup spear to use. So you're still fighting all the lizards here. Let's look at Gourmand, right? They have a few new abilities that are important for combat. They can slide into creatures to stun them and deal a little bit of damage. And they can also fall on creatures from a great height to land on them and do a lot of damage. And I like that ability. It's very simple and effective, right? Actually, I'm just gonna leave this karma flower here. You climb up somewhere, and then you land on some creature. There's a lot of damage. It's usually enough damage to insta kill them, or stun them for long enough to to do another attack. I'm very surprised I didn't get caught there. The other important ability of Gourmand is that their spear does significantly more damage. Oh, they got out. But it costs them all their stamina. So you want to make sure that you're in a position where you're absolutely able to hit them with the spear. And then make sure that you don't miss that one shot you have. Because if you miss, then you're probably dead, and if you hit them, they're probably dead. But it's honestly the same situation, and even more so, because you want to really make sure that the creature is stunned and not in a position to dodge your attack. I accidentally stunned them. Let's look at Artificer. The pretty much only big difference for their combat is that they can create explosives whenever they want. They can create grenades, which are especially effective against scavengers because it has a decent area of effect, and it also detonates all the explosives that they're carrying. Or to create explosive spears, which is pretty much just only effective against large creatures like vultures or green lizards. And they can double jump, which is a really useful movement ability for Artificer. It also really helps you escape from creatures that are too dangerous to fight, or to help you dodge out of the way of a bunch of scavengers that are trying to hit you. And let's look at Spearmaster too, right? They are pretty much just the same as the other Slugcats combat. Okay, I love this game. Maybe I should have grabbed the Karma Flower. So it pretty much just means that any creature that takes a lot of spears to kill, you are prepared for that creature. So centipedes and vultures and green lizards, you can just spam as many spears as you need to. But none of those guys really have too many complicated abilities. Honestly, I'm still gonna use this. Most is probably Gourmand, being able to stomp creatures, and is it another king? Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Yeah, good throw. Every single scavenger ran away. Oh, I love when that happens. When you throw a spear into their head and then they don't care at all. This character, and as well as a few other modded characters that I've seen, they add a lot of kind of janky mechanics. This one is very movement based, right? You can slide into creatures, and then pouncing does damage. And you can pick them up and throw them around. But what ends up happening, this is actually kind of similar for Gourmand, they end up being too situational. Because in base rain world, most of the time you are either fighting a creature because you have a significant advantage over it, or you avoid it entirely. But can I throw a single rock and a spear at this lizard? If I can, then I will fight it. Otherwise, don't bother. Right? And all these characters are you have all these abilities for that's fun, you can just run away while eating them. You have all these abilities, but are they really useful in all situations? It turns out the game's combat still means that you pretty much are only want to fight creatures when you have an advantage over them. It's a big open flat area where you have the space to do a slide or a pounce or something like that. And if you could do that, you could probably also just throw spears. So why bother with all these other mechanics? And in any other situation, those mechanics are useless. You can't really use them without throwing yourself off a cliff like I've done several times already. You don't have the space to build up a roll or a pounce to hit the creature that you want to, or it would be too risky to without falling off the cliff or hitting, or all the knockback that you do to creatures ends up sending them far away so that you can't actually get them for food. which is important for this character since you need a lot of food to shelter. So I don't know how much these all these abilities are really useful in this game. They're all like situational. I think anything other than like the most like simple changes, like Spearmaster having infinite spears, or I think B-Cat did this really well, being able to hover, and then you can hovering lets you throw spears up and down, and that's all. That's it. That's pretty much their only difference with their combat. You can hover in place and you can throw spears up and down while doing so. It actually made combat significantly different because you would always be looking for scenarios where you could hover, put yourself in an advantageous position to throw something at, to throw a spear at something, right? And that was like the only change, and it was very simple and I think very effective for a mod. But this character does not feel like that. I mean, maybe like the default Slugga isn't the best way to experience it, which I don't know if that's a good thing for the mod to have the default settings be not the best settings. Please take the drop again, not me. Okay. Should have ran away earlier. Like that Sign Lizard was approaching from above me, and I had literally no ability that would help in that scenario. And obviously, I should have just ran away earlier, or I was in that position. But even if I managed to get out, it was kind of like a weird environment where there was like a bunch of walls in the way, and like random pits and like holes here and there, and that kind of thing makes it more difficult to fight like a single creature, especially Sign Lizard, which has so much more mobility over you. Very surprised that hit. Like I wanted to hit that lizard, but they were approaching me, so I couldn't throw the spear, and it was like this like uneven terrain, so I can't do a slide. And I also didn't have the space to do a backflip. I guess I could have tried to do that. Did I grab the karma flower? Yes, I did. I feel like if you don't make very simple changes to like the base moveset, it's very hard to make a combat-based character actually work in this game. He's still alive. Goodness. I guess actually, hold up. Maybe I should do that. You can actually do a roll pounce out of just a spear throw. It also could just be that I'm not very familiar with this character yet, so I could be doing these, making better use of these abilities. There was a electric spear down there that I would like to grab. I kind of feel like that spears are ending up to be like more powerful than this like guy. And like even for how situational some of these abilities are, they end up actually not helping out too much. Like the drop kick, which is what I thought that this character's like main gimmick would be, aka your pounces deal damage. They actually don't stun for very long at all. That's something that makes spears very powerful. You hit a creature with a spear, it is now injured and stunned for a decent amount of time. That lets you run away or get in the position to throw another spear, or do some sort of thing to the creature like the Artificer's Maul ability, or to like climb up to a great height to fall on that creature as Gourmand, or to generate another spear as Spearmaster, right? That stun is very helpful for all of those characters' combat. And yet this character's, their main ability is the drop kick, which doesn't even stun the creature long enough for you to do another one. Like that did quite a lot of knockback there. Okay, that actually worked out. But sometimes I've tried to like drop kick a creature and then it just immediately. Oh, you know what, Vulture? I think it's about time. This electric spear is now going to carry me. Okay, never mind. And look at this position. There's not much space for me to move around, and there's a lizard in the way. It's way easier just to throw spears instead of doing any of my other abilities. And it's the electric spear that actually was most useful in that scenario. I'll have to find a centipede eventually. The dropback actually, I don't know if it is always going to do the amount of knockback that it did that one time against that Scion lizard. But there's been times where I've jumped onto a creature to deal damage to it, and immediately the lizard would bite me back, and I couldn't do anything about it. Or maybe I could if I was more familiar with this character. But it didn't give me much time to react, unlike the generous stun duration that spears give you. Of course, that depends on the health of the creature that you're trying to attack, but that's just part of game knowledge, knowing which creatures you can use spears against and which ones you shouldn't. You should avoid completely. Missed that entirely. For whatever reason, some of the spears just seem to go through their heads completely. Also, any characters whose abilities rely on picking up creatures it ends up being really annoying. Like an Artificer, that was like huge pain. Accidentally picking up a creature and not being able to drop it. Or trying to pick up a creature but not being able to because you accidentally pick up a spear instead. Like the real problem is that it's just not consistent whether you pick up a creature or a spear or some other random item instead, or if you try to drop the creature but you can't. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that. It seems like one of this character's abilities is to pick up creatures and throw them around, but that has been hard to do consistently. And I feel like I don't really want to try to do any strategy that relies on that. Also, that was very scary. Because spear throw sends you flying. I don't know if the extra spear, the different spear throw is a good thing or not, because you can do some weird movement with it. I wanted to throw the lizard down in there, not me. I think it just kind of boils down to this game not being great for combat. Like, I think that combat is totally great for base Rain World because it's Rain World, right? Fighting creatures isn't the point of the game. It's only thing that you even bother with once you become like much more familiar with the game's mechanics. Most people on their first few playthroughs maybe, are just gonna completely ignore fighting creatures at all. It's just not worth it. If you don't know what you're doing, even like basic lizards are kind of tricky. And especially like green lizards, because you see them most in like outskirts where you start, right? And they aren't even susceptible to the basic like rock spear combo because they aren't stunned as long by the spear. So you kind of get the impression that you shouldn't bother with combat at all, and just like ignore creatures when you're able to. And for the game that Rain World is trying to be, that works very well. Like, of course you're not going to try to fight creatures. You're like a mouse. Like, just don't bother with that. You're just a slug cat. Just try to like sneak by, and I think that the more stealthy type of gameplay really works for Rain World. It kind of makes you like respect and kind of fear some of the more dangerous creatures. And what Downpour and some other mods have tried to do is like see like, or I guess Hunter too, but like, what if we give the player more abilities to actually have a fair chance against these these creatures? And so you're given some sort of ability that tries to make combat actually work out, but I feel like most of the time it doesn't. It all has the same. I mean, I'm not a very good score runner. There's people who get crazy score runs, and I never know how they do it. I guess they figured out how combat works. But even like when I do score runs, I pretty much limited to like a few lizards here and there, maybe like some Miros birds or vultures if I get an explosive spear. And like having a vulture mask also makes everything a lot easier because you don't even need a rock for lizards anymore. You can just throw the spears, especially with Hunter's back spear. But let's look at a like Artificer, for example. They actually like their campaign kind of falls apart because it's built on combat as a foundation. And I thought that it wouldn't actually be that bad before Downpour came out. I thought that their main ability would be creating explosives. Obviously. But that and what are explosives most useful for? Well, they're useful against those large creatures. Okay, good shot. The large creatures that you don't really want to bother fighting with. Most of the time anyway, right? Don't ever try to fight vultures unless you have a ton of weapons or an explosive spear, right? So Artificer can create explosive spears. Their gameplay would be oriented around fighting these creatures that you usually don't bother with. I want to deal with this lizard. However, what we got instead is a character that's based around scavengers. Scavengers who don't really care if they're hit with a spear or an explosive spear. They're gonna die anyway. And the problem with scavengers is that they can also throw spears at the player from off screen and very far away, and sometimes at angles that you can't throw spears at. Can I do this? Probably not. Actually, I can do this. Please don't. Okay, that's annoying. I'll just go while these vultures kind of scaring away these lizards. There's a lot of times where you're trying to fight a scavenger and they just have faster reaction time than you, where they pop out of a pipe and they throw a spear at you instantly, and there's something you can do about it. Especially since a lot of creatures share the same like white glow color when they're going through pipes, so you can't tell if it's a dropwig, a bat fly, or a white lizard or a scavenger. But if it's a scavenger, it might show up and just instantly kill you with a spear. A scavenger's abilities are also based on a bunch of random stats, which is the case for most creatures, but for scavengers this can be especially relevant because they like a very powerful lizard or a very powerful scavenger can sometimes just like easily deflect every single spear that you throw at and have like significantly improved aim. And also the fact that a spear will kill you instantly, and it's also a ranged projectile. There's a dude there. I didn't want to do that. What kind of movement did I just do there? Wait, hold up. Hello? That's janky. You just kind of float around for a bit. Spears move very fast, travel very far, and instantly kill you. So unless you have actually insane reaction speed, you aren't going to be able to do anything about spears. Like, even Artificer has the parry ability, which should let you deflect spears if you can actually react to them in time, which I've never been able to do, except for in that one challenge with, like, what felt like 100 attempts. I think it's kind of a shame that like, Artificer has to deal with all of that, because their movement ability, the double jump, actually is really good. I think movement abilities in this game are a lot more interesting than combat abilities, considering I guess that I'm a speedrunner and that I play the two characters that have like changed to movement compared to the others like Guts, Rivulets, and Saint. So I think it's always more fun to try to avoid creatures instead of fighting them head on, because combat is weird. And sometimes like, there are creatures that are much harder to deal with, and also depending on what environment you're in. And if you have good movement, you end up being able to adapt to those situations. Please don't throw a spirit throws. To like move around depending on the environment and try to like avoid creatures entirely, or to like try to bait them to a certain location or like strike them with some kind of creature. The better your movement, the better you're able to deal with those creatures. But the better your combat, I feel like it depends, you know. It depends on the combat abilities, but a lot of the time I've noticed that they end up being kind of awkward to use. They have to use the spear here, but I'd rather not. There's always spears in this room. Little area over here. But they're at the very bottom, so you just kind of hope that a spear generates up top, and sometimes if it doesn't, then you have to go all the way back down. Over in a flash one way or another. The problem with that is that dying isn't very fun. You have permanent consequences, like your karma going down, having to like restart an entire cycle's worth of progress. I feel like if combat is like very quick and like someone is dead in a few seconds, then you should also be able to retry that combat like very quickly as well. That looks totally normal. And that is not Rain World. Rain World is... If you okay, all these scavengers keep piling up. Why am I struggling with this? Why? Yeah, just keep, you know what? This will all be easier with the Echo gone. We'll just come back up. Also, RNG is quite annoying. Where you sometimes die to a lizard instantly and sometimes not. And it means that there's always uncertainty in combat, whether a lizard might bite you, but you can always like counterattack if you're holding onto an item, and if you like react quickly enough to throw that item, or sometimes not at all. You just can't do that and you're dead. And I suppose that it kind of encourages you to just play safely. Just don't really engage with combat too much, because there's a risk of dying instantly. There's something you can do about that, so just like play it safe and don't like take the chance. I played Spelunky too. I understand that experience. I still think it's I don't know, it's not great in Rain World because you like in at least in Spelunky you have quite a lot of options and like very responsive movements, as well as like upgrades and like items and stuff. And like yeah, there's like some situations where you just like randomly die and lose a whole run. But a lot of the time you can prepare for that. I guess it depends on the game, but I don't feel like there's ever situations where you just randomly. Oh wow, that was cool. Of course, I'm not saying that like I'm not saying that Randall's movement is or combat is completely bad. I'm just saying that it's kind of pointless to try to focus on the combat if you're making a like a modded character. I mean, I guess I would like to see if someone can actually pull off good combat in Rain World. Like what mods have I played? So I really like the B cat. Honestly, I think that was good. Only making a very slight change to your movement abilities, but what that opens up so much more potential in combat. Mostly by giving the player a lot more control for their movement, being able to hover in place, being able to like slowly line up your throw in a safe position, and as well as just being able to throw in any direction. But like Drone Master, they did not really have combat. That they were just like the drones would follow you around and just kill anything that showed up. Like, that wasn't really combat. That was just sort of like making the game a lot easier. Excuse me. Okay, that's a cool ability though. I do like that it discovered that. That was another RNG. I think I was grabbed by that lizard, so I could have just died. A little trampoline. First character with a fully alternative moveset. If you grab and throw a scavenger off a cliff, you still lose your reputation. Probably. I imagine that it's coded so that throwing creatures off cliffs does count as a kill, especially since you deal damage to them first. So if you deal damage to a creature and then it dies, it counts as your kill. And if it counts as your kill, it probably also decreases reputation. I imagine that's how it's made, or how it works for scavengers. Like an entirely new moveset for the Slugcat, or like as in, I mean, I imagine that you're suggesting like not even a Slugcat at all, just like a scavenger, but you can like move around better because the controls in Safari mode aren't the best. But a character that lets you move around in the same sort of environments as the Slugcat, but one that's like more unique. I don't know, that could be interesting. I think the Friend was the closest to achieving that. They crawled faster than they walked, and they had a really high jump. They had, as in the developers actually removed that ability, which I'm not really happy about. Yeah, the throwing does, well, throwing should do damage. It's not consistent. I don't really know what triggers the extra damage effect. But yeah, the Friend, I enjoyed the Friend when I did play it. I don't know if I would enjoy it without the high jump, because it totally changes the way that you play. Whoa, that's janky. really have to spend an explosive spear on that. That's an Ultra Instinct Overseer right there. Dodge all those spears. Yeah, okay, I imagine that's like a significantly easier way to make Safari modes to work, because the creature's AI is based on something that they want to do, and then pathfinding to that thing. Like Slugcat's movement is coded in a completely different way, more like an actual like platformer game. You can just like move left or right, you jump, you know, so on. But the creatures they have more like specific control over like each of their like limbs. But yeah, actually taking like one of those unique creatures and giving them a moveset that's like comparable to the Slugcats but not exactly the same. It'd be really difficult to pull off, but it'd make a very unique character. Most of these modded characters that are coming out now, they use the slug-based mod. I haven't really looked into what that is, but I'm pretty sure it's just like a template for a unique character where you could just like change some like numbers around to make whatever you want to. And sometimes, you know, unique abilities like a lot of the Slugcats have some sort of gimmick to them that you'd probably have to code in manually, but for the most part it's just following a template. So if you wanted to like completely abandon the template and like completely design a new character that also manages to work in the same world, so we are now in Pebbles, which means that the game will either crash or there will be unique dialogue. Those are the two options. Or it will just be the default like survivor dialogue. That happens sometimes for mods. Like that one Slugcat that moves really fast, that's probably just made by like setting all the movement related stats to their very high value. Come on. I love zero gravity. So this is Moon or Spearmaster's campaign, which means that I technically could go to Moon to get the mark of communication, to hear what he said there. But he basically just yelled at me, kicked me out, but no Pearl. So I guess that's kind of the same as Spearmaster minus Pearl. If you're the wrong slug, it just crashes. So like if you were to mod yourself in as like Gourmand, and you just went to Pebbles as the Spearmaster's campaign, the game would just crash. But this mod has done something to just change the way it works instead. Problem with going to Moon, however, is that it would be very boring. It's pretty rare to see a modded character have unique iterator movement. I don't even know if the yeah, the one Slugcat that would probably have like the best zero gravity movement, the outsider, the one with wings, they were in a campaign where there were no iterators, so or no zero gravity, so I couldn't even make use of it if I wanted to. Actually, hold up. Let's Let's look at the classes. Actually, no. Let's make the game crash. That's what I said. Yep. I'm sorry about that. Let's just open the game back up. Yeah, now we're going to look at the other classes. There's only a few that are actually interesting to me. I think I know which one I want to look at first. So is this all working? Looks like it is. So in here, dynamic settings, this character. You can also just look at this. So there's a lot of options, which kind of bother me because it means that, right, it might mean that the developer isn't 100% confident with the character that they've created, so they want to give the player some like agency over what they want to make the character do. I think I usually prefer if a character is just like set in stone in like a good position. I guess if there's some things that I could change about the down perks, like I would like to do that, but if it's like is created in a way that's or just a character in general is created well, then the developer shouldn't I shouldn't want to have to change any of the settings about it. For testing, I suppose, maybe a lot of these options will be removed in the future. Like, what is this even? But yeah, here's the main options. Just a bunch of different classes, builds. I think this is the one I want to look at. This is an interesting way to pick the speedster. Apparently they just go very fast. Did that apply correctly? It did. Dropkick multiplier. So I actually don't know how this character, what's different about this character. Apparently they just go fast, so we'll see. Insert space program. That does happen sometimes. Sometimes you just do a lot more knockback than you'd expect. I guess if you can have the option to make it even more extreme. Whoa. We're fast now. I just did an extended slide. Is it? Oh, sorry about that. Whoops. So, is it just extended slides that trigger that? Oh, sorry about that too. I want this overthrow. Oh, I hope that counts as a gift. I keep accidentally destroying these scavengers. I didn't even do anything there. I just ran into them. Here, take this. Are they dead? Oh, gosh, this is too much. So like sometimes something happens and you get. If you keep doing movement tricks, you build speed. Okay. So just be a speedrunner. So like every time I do a roll pounce, slide, yeah, it seems like just movement tech kind of builds up. And it seems to impact damage. I like breathed at those scavengers and they all died, so. Please don't. I guess if you really want to build up speed, you would do a extended slide or a eye hop. That didn't seem to do anything though. Why am I stunned? Oh gosh. It's as if I'm playing that one character everyone wants me to play. You end up going so much faster with that. Yeah, it was just an overseer eye that I couldn't give to the scavengers. Maybe I will have to fight them. So just doing movement tech in general kind of gives you this like boost. It builds up to like different tiers, and the higher tier you are, the faster you go, and I assume this like stronger some of your attacks are. Makes sense for this character considering that they are a very movement based fighter. Doing that probably increases it too, the wall jump. I still haven't found like a good place to use though. Okay, it goes a little too fast. So it seems like you just ram into them at full speed. It does damage and stuns you. I'm already full, it seems, or they're just not dead. I thought it would do a lot more damage than that, enough to insta-kill at least. I mean, I guess maybe that'd be a little unbalanced if you could just ram into creatures and instantly kill them. Although I'm kind of stuck. There we go. Same thing as the drone master, just no choice but to kill them. I suppose. It's like any kind of gourmand that happened a lot with gourmand. You would accidentally roll or slide and they would all just die even if you didn't want to kill them. Let's try a little bit here. Seems like doing an extended slide, it boosted a lot. Well, sometimes even though I'm keeping up the movement, it kind of decays anyway. Maybe there's a time limit on like how long you have before you can use, or like a certain amount of time where you have to use the abilities. Also, I'm immediately grabbing an echo. I probably shouldn't stay in the shelter first. Let's head over to Sky Islands next. Or maybe I should go to Industrial. Yeah, I think Industrial sounds better actually. Gourmand can grab the apology gifts. Yeah, for Gourmand, it's actually usually just crafting a ton of pearls to give to the scavengers so that you have enough reputation to afford to like accidentally kill a few of them. As long as there's not many other scavengers in the area. Goodness. I mean, I shouldn't have done that, but I guess I was fast enough to make it to the other pole. Why is it raining? You think that fast pole climbing would also give it to you? Goodness. It's a little too fast sometimes. So I don't know if I want the speed boost on poles. Hello? Say something? Actually, I don't have the market communication. There we go. Too easy to lose it on pulls. I think it's partially good. Maybe if the speed boost was adjusted so that you were a little more controllable when you're climbing on poles. Actually, no, let's go to Skylands. We're already here. Like, there's a lot of optimization that you can do on poles, like pole hopping and past pole climbing, just like doing a boost when you're changing between poles. Like, all of that stuff should give you extra build up your speed boost, but it shouldn't make you so fast that it's hard to actually. So it's hard to move precisely. Which is also why I don't really want to play that other character. So let's just make that whole jump. Yeah, once that like an explosion happens, it seems like there's like a timer on how long the speed boost lasts. That was very bizarre. I threw it forward, did like a flip. Maybe, you know what? Yeah, let's just do that. That also works. I think I can. Look, I'm dead. Yeah, not enough space to actually ram into them. Although centipedes are a bit strange. Like even Gourmand can kind of struggle to hit them with their movement abilities. Seems like you like have to build up this main speed boost, and it lasts for some amount of time. I don't know if you can like keep stacking it beyond that. Wow. Alright, get the cauliflower back before we keep going. I think this character eats stuff faster too. It only took like 2 bites instead of 4. Or maybe 3, I wasn't really paying attention. Let's just jump over all this. Surprised that noodle fly didn't die. Speaking of space program, I actually almost didn't make that jump anyway. Hello, lizards. There we go. Very easy way to deal with lizards in this room. Okay, there's still more. You just happen to know one gate where you can stick spears into the wall. That's funny. I'm a little surprised that it's not just like a universal property of those gates. So let's see if there's any I can ram into. Not the pole plant. Oh goodness, the backflips too. I'm not gonna touch those mushrooms. You could probably do some ridiculous stuff. think it's always, I should always just like head to this location whenever I'm in Sky Islands. I'm just kind of a big fan of this room. I wish that the song always played here, regardless of which campaign you're in. And unfortunately, you can't ram into a. I don't know if I can deal damage to this guy without a spear. Not enough space. Oh, I guess I can. That custom slugget that makes the game harder instead of easier. I don't know about that. I feel like if a character were to be designed to be like more difficult, I'd prefer if it was like environmental difficulty instead of like creature spawn difficulty. That's something that bothers me about a lot of stuff in Rain World, how they increase difficulty, but just by spamming a ton of like really difficult creatures. Like there's that one room in Garbage Wastes for Artificer and Spearmaster, I think. And it's always filled with like a few king vultures, like red lizards, like a few like scion lizards too, like just all sorts of stuff. Probably scavengers. And that room is always just a pain to get through. It's like a ton of like just super difficult creatures. Okay, that was RNG. I mean, that was a skill issue and RNG. But yeah, I think there's a point where it becomes excessive. Just there's a point where there's too many creatures and it becomes like just a pain to get through. And I think that you know, I don't know how many characters have like. Also, obviously, it's more difficult to make like a unique rooms and stuff. Yo, there's a guy up there. You know that? Why does that do so much knockback to me? Oh, I should have ran on him with the speed boost. Okay, I feel like the extended sight should do a little bit more than that. Another problem is that it's kind of hard to make the environment difficult without just making a bunch of like either covering everything in like proto long legs, like the rot or like unfortunate development. I don't want to throw that speed. Or by making a bunch of like instant death pits, like in Sky Islands. That still works. I can still do that. This lizard is making sounds I've never heard before. There we go. That's the combo I wanted to do. This is the kind of room that I love actually fighting creatures in. Just like a lot of different platforms and like layers, pipes, poles to climb on, and most importantly, just like a lot of flat ground. Something is going on down there. I think that's a dropwig carrying the lizard. So when you're moving fast, you end up just like stunning yourself when you run into creatures. I don't know how I feel about that. Solos was interesting, specifically the friend, back when they had a higher vertical jump, because that environment was specifically designed for Saint, right? It took place in the Saints campaign. So they had let's grab that centipede down here. And so that obviously has the grapple movement in mind. Oh wow. And when a character doesn't have the grapple hook, you know, the long tongue, they need to find other ways to navigate, and the long jump was, or the high jump was an interesting way to do that, I think. And also kind of the same for the outsider. They had a few changes made to the map to kind of fit with their flying ability to make it like still challenging and not too overpowered. But I definitely agree with you on that one point of like a lot of modded characters just make the game a lot easier by giving you overpowered abilities. Whoa, what did I just do there? Yeah, all right. Like an even higher level of speed. Goodness, the strength of this character too. You could just drag around creatures as much as you want. Should I grab the echo? I think actually I want to go to farmers specifically. Also, it seems like what happened earlier is that I was throwing items as well as moving around. So it seems like throw boosting also contributes to the speed boost. Yeah, I can trigger that again. So that's kind of like an orange glow. Or maybe I'm interpreting this ability wrong. Yeah, it seems like actually. So okay, I think I figured out how it works. The longer that you like continuously move, or it seems like you have to be running on the ground, the more like charges you build up, and then doing some sort of movement tech activates those charges and gives you the speed boost. That's interesting. They added the back foot pounce. So yeah, I guess that's like an easier way to do a pounce than to like do a slide, because there's a little bit harder timing on that. Wow. That's a sizable centipede. No, that didn't build it up. That just it just like activates it. Oh, that's annoying when that happens. Sometimes the roll doesn't actually let you do a roll pounce. But that was probably because of the, like, uneven terrain. Let's not do that again. Once again, I would really like someone to make a region that has, like, a lot of flat open areas that encourages high mobility slowcats like Ruby in this one. You know what, I'm interested in the idea of actually testing that out. See if I can just run straight through Wormgrass. It seems like also falling can charge it up. Oh wow, good job. Oops. I'm surprised that did not just... That's always funny though, just ramming straight into them. I want to see if I can just like run past the all the Wormgrass just by Okay, that worked out. That's not the tallest Wormgrass in Farmer is. Yeah, Whiplash just activates the charges. Sometimes the knockback is just a little excessive maybe. I don't know if I ever need to knock back a creature that far. Yeah, I was just hugging that lizard. Do I have a pearl? I don't think so. I should have grabbed one from earlier. Or maybe I can just move so fast that the scavengers won't be able to get me. I think that's my strategy. I don't have a speed boost built up yet. I'm probably just gonna ram into them, so... Oh, they don't care. I think this character actually, it seems to start with, like, quite positive scavenger reputation. Which is very unique. Because you would think that if I had, like, just neutral reputation... Oh, wow. If I just had neutral reputation, then a handful of, scavengers here and there would still want to attack me. Okay. I was doing fine until the vulture decides that they want to shoot at me. Sometimes king vultures want to shoot you with a harpoon if you're in close range, but I guess that didn't work. Let's try to run across the wormgrass on the other side of this region. Yeah, I could be building up speed the whole way there. You also increase your speed in tunnels a whole lot. Oh, that activates the charges. I actually didn't want that to happen. I still don't know why that happens sometimes. If you're being grabbed by a lizard and you throw something, I feel like you should be guaranteed to hit it. But it is actually based on your position and the lizard's position. Even though those... Although you're like shaking around so wildly that it's kind of impossible to predict where you're gonna throw. I'm gonna try to not do anything that uses charges. For that, yeah. I feel like they could keep going even more than this. That failed just about as quickly as it possibly could. I don't know if I like ran into a wall so quickly that I got stunned, or if I just got grabbed by the worm grass. Honestly, I don't know what happened there. But I heard kind of a loud thud that sounds like it could have been me getting stunned against the wall. Instant death grass. So you're saying that there's like a length of worm grass that just instantly kills you regardless of how fast you. Well, I don't think that's true. Because you can get through worm grass with a yeek, and they just happen to jump high enough to release you from the worm grass. If it instantly killed you, then you would be able to, then they would kill you before you had a chance to jump out. At least I think that's how it would happen. Although I guess I don't really know how worm grass work. I never grabbed a pearl. Actually, no. We already learned that. I have high enough reputation for it to not matter. Also, I wish I moved fast enough to just ignore these guys, but I cannot. Not the final tier for speedster. It seems like it goes up to 3 tiers. Maybe a 4th one if you really spend a long time running. But once you get the 3rd charge, it takes a lot longer to build up again. I'm sorry, scavengers. They're probably dead. I don't know. There might be more. There's not really any good places to run around a whole lot. I imagine that farm race is probably the best place though. A lot of like long kind of flat areas. If I was Gourmand, they would have died. And the character customization screen, like they're saying to like change the options to make me move even faster. I don't know if I want to do that. That didn't do anything. Okay, I just failed to jump for some reason. You can look at the input display. I think I was pressing jump there. I don't know. I was waiting for them to fall down. Yeah, I built up those charges really quickly. I think it might be based on the speed that you're moving at. There were some times there where I was falling quite quickly. So maybe it's based on the speed that you're moving at. You don't really need to be walking on the ground. Let's go down here. I'd rather not risk getting caught by the bees again. I still don't really have a good name for those. I know that some people call them pain cones, which I guess is fitting. Please don't. Yeah, a few of them grabbed onto me. The letters on the input display are just represent whatever action it is. It's not the actual keys that I'm pressing. So it's like jump and grab and throw. I don't know if there's an extra speed tier after this. I mean, it kind of looks like it's still building up. Usually it builds up quite a lot when I was falling like that. Can I do this? Okay, there's probably no point. I just go down here. Just we're heading to outskirts now. Don't really have any specific goal in mind. Just kind of running around. This character is very interesting. Maybe they're better if you really learn their abilities and also make use of the classes. Oh gosh, probably one of the more important things that I learned. I can't. I'm dead. That was a stupid idea. Of course, I'm just gonna kill them the moment I ram into them at max speed. But then any challenge runs? Depends on what you mean by that. Like what kind of challenges? I guess I've done the Discord challenges. The ones on the random Discord. There's one of them that I'm interested in doing pretty soon. Yeah, that didn't work out. Goodbye. So that should be an insta kill, right? If they're sent that far. And it is, okay, so can I do an extended slide with you? Whoa. Can I? I guess I can. Alright, that was kind of a joke, but and they're back. Oh, I want to do a roll pants. Maybe that's not the best place to fight a green lizard. There's this challenge where it's like, as hunter, fight or like kill every some number of type of creatures. Close to the maximum amount of creatures that there are that you can kill. Although I don't really like the idea of not playing anything that's downpour related. That's pretty much a challenge that you could do in any version of the game. If I come up with any interesting ideas, I guess I'll probably do streams of those. All not for downpour, yeah. Probably just to be accessible to everyone. Oh, I feel like if you're gonna wait until downpour to release a bunch of new challenges, then they should probably be related to downpour. Maybe that's just me. Scavenger in there. too fast. This character is becoming more annoying to play, considering that I keep getting stunned by just moving too quickly. I feel like if you're gonna make a character that moves this fast, they could have some sort of resistance against getting stunned so much. That was a very fast throw. Hopefully that didn't kill any scavengers. I just got stunned from a single life pounce. Oh gosh, the amount of times we're getting stunned here. I just walked. I was just walking. Further reason to not play that one mod and like that. Hey, come back down here. Oh wait, they're gonna run away after that. I'm not really a fan of how you get stunned every 2 seconds just for having the fast movement. Although maybe that's just kind of the point of these extra classes, of just like being really extreme. I had an idea for a challenge where you would just try to beat the game without touching water ever. So no rain, no other water that you normally swim in. Maybe no void sea, no void fluid. Although that's not water, so maybe like don't touch any liquids at all. So if there's like some any that you can get without ever. The thing is that I think it wouldn't be a challenge if you just found the one campaign that avoided water entirely, because then you'd just be playing the game normally. Like you even get the speed boost if you mess up the slide. But you can move quite quickly in an open space. Just don't ever touch the walls. Like a room like this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Like, don't ever fight creatures in this room. It's just annoying. See, I think that's ridiculous. Don't touch a creature or else you will be sent back at Mach 3. I should eat that. Oh no, they probably got grabbed by the worm grass. Yes. Oh, that's why I thought I was grabbed by nothing earlier. The worm grass are invisible for some reason. There have been a few bugs. I mean, there's a lot of bugs in Rain World. So yeah, never touching water, like, might be interesting. If there's some like wild routes that you have to take, but I think eventually you just find the one route that just completely avoids everything, so you just it would just be a normal playthrough once you find that route. I think it'd have to be a challenge that applies to the entire game. Yeah, I guess another interesting challenge is just playing characters or playing campaigns with the wrong characters, which is kind of what playing these mods feels like sometimes. Like, can you make it through Metropolis as Survivor? Because there's a bunch of jumps that require the the double jump. But then it's like you just use X and an instant hops and you can just make it do all the same movement, essentially. I don't know, I can't really imagine what else would be interesting with that. Like doing some revealer things as non-revealer characters. But that's kind of like already intended with the cape. You do that as the monk. Oh, that was more force than I expected. So this character, I picked a different class this time. You can throw both the items at once that you're holding, and you do it with a lot more force. I just happened to pick up a explosive spear right now, so good time to test this. Although I'm no longer very fast. Well, that also means that I won't be getting stunned by touching every single. Surely that green lizard is dead. And then yeah, you can do the other like explosive spear jump, or use like cicadas. There's so many options for movement. Hey, come up here, lizard. Not interested. Yeah, and some of the combinations just aren't possible at all. Why did that? Oh, that's my ability. I don't know if it does any damage with you throw rocks. It has to be weapons. Hello, centipede. Please don't kill me. I got that wrong again. So you do have to go out a little bit further. Oops, cicada. Yeah, there's situations that are just like impossible. Like you can't do Spearmaster's quest as any other character because you can't get the pearl. And I don't know if it's probably like it probably just crashes anyway. This is an interesting mechanic. So this character, yeah, as this class, you have the ability to throw both items that you're holding at once. You also seem to like gain some kind of charge. I don't know what's up with that. Please. You know what? Let's just go this way. Oh, you switch back to Spearmaster to get the pearl, I suppose. Actually, I don't want to throw both items in this situation. Why'd that happen? Maybe you have to hold two of the same item. Goodness. I don't know what happens to the other item that you throw. It seems to just vanish. You throw it too fast, it just evaporates. Oh no. They're both there. More benefit to throwing both items. I imagine it just does more damage than normal. Although sometimes I would like to keep both items. It does definitely throw them faster. So a lot more range. Yo, I got a passage. I also thought of a possibility of like a low percent run of like doing as little as possible. Although I don't even know how that would work. Maybe as avoiding as many passage, as much progress as possible. Let's just look at this is the Escort. They have a bunch of wacky abilities, like totally missing a grain lizard at point blank range. Where'd that spear go? There it is. They're very oh come on. They have some interesting abilities like being able to drop kick things, so their pounce does damage. They have a wall jump that looks very interesting, like this. They can throw creatures around, and that deals damage too. Although, I've found that their abilities are kind of hard to use sometimes. Like in that situation. Like the hibernation art, that one right there where they're dead. That could actually be an interesting idea. Trying to beat the game. Who knows what the objective is. We try to beat the game with as little passage progress as possible, which actually wouldn't be that interesting because without a survivor, you can't eat. That was unfortunate. Without survivor, you don't make progress towards a lot of passages anyway. So you would only have like 4 passages to worry about. So maybe you would like start with survivor and then like how many other passages can you avoid considering all the other. That's yeah, that's what this character does. Drop the lizard. The thing is that would also give you progress towards the martyr. So I imagine just like eat normally for 5 circles, or yeah, do step calls like yeah. That could actually be a very interesting challenge. Although you'd probably have to spend a lot of time like preparing the route, because you need to take into account so many things that it would be impossible to just do a run without any preparation. Can you get martyr without survivor? I think so. Okay, don't fight green lizards. Don't ever do it. Just don't. And now I don't have enough karma. I'm probably just gonna eat the first lizard I kill and then move on. I think I'd like to end the stream in industrial. Sometimes it just, I don't really like the knockback effect. That's a funny knockback effect, but the one on yourself. When you get sent flying backwards, like the recoil. I suppose there's a better way to say that. I assume that the goal would be to... Okay, I just want to grab the spear. The goal would be beat the game. Maybe we would look at like the different campaigns and all the different endings to see which one is optimal, which is a lot more routing than just a single challenge. Or maybe we just do the challenge for every individual ending. Like, what are some of the things that you want to do? You wouldn't want to kill too many lizards. At least like one of like only a few types of lizards you would be able to kill. You wouldn't want to kill too much stuff at all to not get outlaw, but you also want to never... You wouldn't want to never kill things for a saint. You'd eat a mix of plants and animals to get neither monk or hunter. You'd also want to avoid going into as many different or sheltering in any different... Goodness, the speed of the spear throw. You'd want to avoid going in as many different regions as possible. I least it doesn't stun you, the recoil. Oh, hold up. Another dropper. That was clean. I don't know what this like aura is around me. Those like blue sparks. Which campaign has the least regions necessary? Yeah, you'd have to figure that out. Gourmand might be a good choice. You could craft a singularity bomb in like industrial or shoreline. Actually, there's a karma flower there. Craft a singularity bomb. Go to like industrial, outskirts, drainage, filtration. Kill the guardians with the singularity bomb and then ascend. That might be. I mean, it's also kind of like if you can beat the game really quickly, you would also avoid getting a lot of passages. Because if you look at like some speedruns do a lot like that. So I think it'd be better to do all the campaigns instead of just finding the most optimal campaign. Because if you just look at some random like speedruns, they get like 3 passages total. Not even like complete passages, just like progress towards passages. They don't make much. Or just unload them. Isn't that really hard to do? In Downpour? I thought they patched that. Just the trick where you unload the guardians. Can I? Hold up. Guess I can pull spears out of walls. I don't know if that's a trick unique to this class or this character's always been able to do this. Also, I don't know if this song ever started playing coming in from an outskirts. That's interesting. If you kill 2 things in a cycle, you get outlaw progress. So if you only killed 1 thing per cycle, you could... Let's try to do a... I don't know what happened, but it worked. Oh, wow. That gets you extra height. Hold on, I need to test that again. But it also sends you in a trajectory that you can't influence at all. Goodness, it throws so quickly. I'm not used to it yet. It seems like if you're holding on to 2 different items, they don't work, so it has to be 2 of the same item. I am liking this build too. I want to try to fight the red lizard with this. Oh goodness, what is going on here? Why does the scavenger have to be in the way? That was not worth it. I'm surprised I'm still alive. Okay, red lizards are always super risky to fight. Oh, the knockback, I forgot about that. The moment you get close to a red lizard at all, you instantly die. Well, that's usually what happens. It's not guaranteed, but it pretty much is. That did not work. Both spears impaled. Why did I get sent towards him? Ooh, maybe 2 rocks. I still don't know if okay, well, there's the instant death. Like, I imagine that like characters like Saint would be very difficult with that challenge. Like, you need to I'm all the way back here. End without enough karma. I probably should have sheltered. Like, Saint has to visit all the echoes. This game sometimes. So you have to do a lot. You'd have to play the game a whole lot for Saint. It's not just about like avoiding as much as possible. So you would need to find a route that avoids all the passages. And also getting the all echoes passage would be required. So I don't know if that does anything unique. Throwing 2 rocks instead. Well, it kills you, that's what it does. Like getting all of the echoes. Like what else? Thing is that I feel like if there's just some play style that avoided all passages, it'd be a lot less interesting. Like I think it'd make the run a lot more interesting if you had to make some sort of sacrifices. Tame one of every lizard. I don't like taming one lizard. So that would... Okay, I don't know what happens there. Got recoiled so hard that I went back into that pipe. I still don't know if it does extra damage or if that's just the effect of throwing 2 spears at once. I think they're dead. I'm trying to think of what other passages might be a problem. I guess Wander, right? You would want to avoid staying in as like, I think you get Wanderer when you shelter in a region. So you'd have to like, I guess ideally you would only shelter in one region ever. Although I don't know. Well, I guess like if you make your way all the way over to an echo, it'll just be sent back to that region, right? Maybe it would be a lot more interesting. Like you would have to always stay like make it to every individual echo from Sky Islands. You only get progress if you do 2 in a row. Really? I feel like that isn't how it works. I almost died to that. I did that a lot. I think I've routed like score runs around just staying in a. I mean, I guess those score runs I've also like missed out on Wanderer marks that I thought I would get, so maybe that is how it works. I don't know. You need to visit 5 total regions for Wanderer? No? I usually think you get Wanderer pips like the moment you stay in a shelter. I guess if we wanted to root a low percent run, you'd have to find all the places you ever. Like you have to look into how all the passages work. I feel like we're missing a few that might be significant. What if I can hold 2 creatures at the same time and dual throw them? Mother would be painful. You would have to. Well, it's not important for some campaigns where you just can't see slugguts at all, but otherwise you just have to avoid them, just ignore them. Wow, that's just like a straight line. No, they aren't. They're so fast that they're barely affected by gravity. If you end the run in a single cycle, you won't make any progress for passages. I think you can end Artificer's campaign in a single cycle. Usually in speedruns, you still shelter because it's so easy to die as Artificer that you need to do it if you want to ever complete the run. Ask if that's how dual creatures. I cannot pick up a second creature. I've been lied to. Like, all you have to do is make it up to the wall before it rains. And then, once you're up there, the rain doesn't affect you, so you can just, Actually, genius idea right now. Why are you all here? Just eat a karma flower? I could have done that from the beginning, the moment I entered Outskirts. And I believe it is actually possible to finish Saints in a single cycle, technically. Because getting echoes resets you back to the start of the cycle. So you're technically not making any progress. I don't know if that... I think you might still be able to get passages if you do that. I don't know. And also because there's no rain, right? So as long as you're fine against the cold, then you don't really have to worry about. You can like make it as far as you're able to, right? Gourmand is pretty close to being able to do it in a single cycle. I think it only requires 2. Actually, no. You still have to get karma, right? But once you get karma, you can make it to Outer Expanse in like 2 cycles. So that probably wouldn't be too bad to optimize. I don't know. I still don't know what these blue sparks mean. If someone wants to look at this this character's like workshop page, I think it does explain what all the different builds do specifically. I think you can reach the silent construct area before instant death blizzard. I didn't know there was an instant death blizzard. I know there's a point where it makes you cold very quickly. If you, even then, like good movement and like a lantern, maybe multiple lanterns, if you have to. Like those could also work. But if it really is instant, then and you have to go through, yeah, so like Sonic Construct and the one next to Moon, those would probably be the hardest to get. So a lot of the echoes are like fairly close to Sky Islands anyways, so the like Sky Islands one, the Chimney one, Farm Rays, Subterranean, all those echoes are fairly close together. And the Undergrowth one. I guess I'll have to see. Maybe I'll try that. Actually, that's kind of been a challenge that I wanted to try anyway. Beating Saints in a single cycle, technically. We'll see if it's possible there. And I guess if we can also see how many passages we get from doing the run naturally, and if there's any optimizations that can be made to save a few passage progress points. What if I do this? Nothing happens. What if I do it with rocks? I don't see any other rocks here. I don't think 3 lanterns could save you long enough. I've tried holding 3 lanterns at once, and it does not make that much of a difference at all. And it's probably the difference of like each lantern like making you warm by like 0.1. Making up random values here, but let's say that they warm you up by 0.1, whatever that means, and then the blizzard makes you cold by like 2. Like having 3 lanterns would still make an insignificant difference, even though most of the time it would. Oh, it's a cap? So it's actually preventing you from throwing more. I thought it would like increase your damage output, so like you could combo multiple throws together to make them stronger. But I haven't. Oh, I guess you'd get stunned eventually. Okay. Because I think every time I got stunned, I thought it was just me getting launched into a wall so quickly that it stunned me. I'm really liking the long range that it gives. It's probably the best part of this, honestly, because I still don't know if it does more damage. Are you not dead yet? Hello? Okay, I guess I'm not allowed to eat them. That's also a good part about this character. Okay, nice wall jump there. I guess I just didn't have enough time to charge it up. Okay, I think I'm going to end the stream soon. Okay, definitely I am. Let's make it to another shelter. Yeah, I think I'd like to give my last thoughts on this character. They are interesting. It definitely takes some time to learn how exactly these mechanics work, and I still don't think I've learned them entirely. Because at least from playing the speed build, I just kept hitting walls and stunning myself. That wasn't very fun. This character is, this build feels a lot better. Surprisingly, actually. Because you just get to use spears, and honestly, I've been avoiding doing the other the other abilities. But I think the most important thing to learn about this character is the fact that throwing spears sends you into a kind of rolling state. And out of a rolling state, you can do a pounce, which does knockback. It's kind of this combo that you can do where you throw a spear and then immediately pounce into a creature so you can like deal the extra knockback. That was like frame 3 that the lizard got me. Okay. Oh, look at this again. Like, if you're just holding one sphere. Actually, it seems like it's kind of broken. It doesn't seem to work as this version of as this build. Am I gonna try the other builds? Probably not. Most of them seem kind of underwhelming. Why are there always so many scavengers? Wow. Okay, why did I fall down? I think I just annihilated that scavenger. So let's just try this out, actually. Whoops, sorry about that scavenger. Hey. So that's what happens. Good to know. I thought it would stun you. You just die. So just don't do it too much. Although that hasn't really been a limitation. I had to kind of sit there and like do a lot more attacks than I usually do. Yeah, I guess I kind of have a problem with just combat-oriented characters. I mean, I saw this character at first and I thought that it'd be interesting because of the movement-based combat. The way you like do slide pounces and roll pounces and stuff like that to hit enemies. But I feel like most of the time you just put yourself in danger of getting bit at close range, or you don't stun the creature long enough to do a second attack. And it always felt like it was just easier to just use spears and rocks like every other character does. Like their movement abilities ended up making it harder to play instead of giving them an advantage. I really like the oh yeah, also being able to throw creatures was like never useful because I would always just hit them with spears first. Maybe that's like the thing that I'm missing out on. Like you're supposed to I wasn't expecting that to, I was expecting to work like that. Maybe you're supposed to like ram into them to stun them and then throw them away. Like that's the combo that deals damage. I guess I just don't really enjoy combat-based characters for the most part. Here's a, you know, here's a vulture. As long as it's not a king vulture. It's also very easy to launch yourself off a cliff, which I've done several times. Like, why am I bothering with this when I could just be throwing the spears repeatedly, you know? Like, you always need to spend more time and more space to do like a roll pounce or a pounce like that. Maybe just like throw spears repeatedly, you know? This is how combat normally works. Throw spears. And it always felt like I was making a mistake by trying to do other stuff. You can probably like take advantage of it eventually. You really played this character a lot, but I feel like it, you know, good mod like for Downpour, right? A bunch of characters suddenly added to the game as like permanent part of it. So there's like a good reason to actually care about learning how to play those characters. But for mod, like you're gonna play the character like a few times and then move on because it's not like the main part of the game. So like if a modded character takes a lot of time to master, then it's probably not a great character. Also, it appears that regular pounces just don't do anything. A custom slug with many unlockable abilities. Like Expedition mode? But for like one character. Or like a Metroidvania. You know, that would actually be kind of fascinating. Like creating a map that was like a combination of all the different maps. Like Metropolis and Sonic Construct and stuff. And Submerged Superstructure, and so you would need like a specific ability to navigate that region. Oh, that's just my idea. When you sleep with a lizard, you unlock their ability. That could be cool. So that's okay. So that's what you're saying about taming lizards. If you went and like tamed all the lizards, you would you get their abilities. I think like some of the lizards have pretty interesting abilities to work with. Like you could like a salamander or an eel lizard for underwater movement. Maybe like a blue or white lizard. I guess a lot of lizards probably, but one of those for like climbing on walls, or like a long tongue. I think it'd be cool if there's a character with a long tongue, but not like Saint, but instead for like grabbing onto creatures. Or maybe like camouflage for like being more stealthy. I still think there should be like I haven't seen like a good ambush. Like ambush, like stealthy character. Although that might be kind of boring. Uh-oh. Drop hook. Like I feel like right now, I don't have any spear on me right now. I feel like I should be able to like fight this drop hook. When I see a character that has like a bunch of combat abilities that don't involve throwing things, I think combat should be possible. I was too busy running away to prepare an attack. Yeah, that's a cool idea. I just don't like I don't like the idea of it being attached to taming a lizard, because that's always a hassle. And some lizards are just impossible to tame, like green lizards are kind of a pain. Because they can't climb up into a lot of shelters. So maybe like, or maybe it would involve taming a lizard and then doing something to get its ability without having to sleep with it. It's like just getting a lizard into a shelter can be the like most annoying part. But like taming it just requires you to give it like a bit of food and following it back to its shelter. That didn't work like I wanted it to. It seems like you don't get the same knockback from throwing rocks. They will have a base ability that makes it easier. Okay. Anyway, that's going to be the end of the stream. This is an interesting character. Still not entirely sure how I feel about it. But they're interesting, I guess. They had a lot of abilities. And sometimes it was kind of fun to just knock creatures around and send them flying across the room. But yeah, that's going to be the end. Thanks everyone for watching the stream. See ya.